Okay, so these are the ice cream scoops that Karen taught me. At the time I had them, I was in such bad shape I couldn't even hardly do anything. So I would do them lying down on the floor. It just felt good to move, and you want to just be as flat and sideways as you are, like your back is against the wall. And we're going to target the glute med and the rotators in the hip. And believe me, it's going to feel good, especially if you're really stuck, because the glute med and the rotators in your hip, they are your best friends right now while you're healing your lumbar, because if you're weak in your glute med, the lumbar has to work extra hard. And remember, it's trying to heal soft tissue and stay in a neutral spine, so we want to really work on the hips. So you'll start with the foot here. You should be able to feel this in your booty, like a leg that's up in the air, just kind of right here, not in the deep glute, but on the side, like a little pie plate right there on the side. That's where you want to target it. So you start, these are Karen's ice cream scoops. So get nice and set up here and scoop your toe down, and then try to turn your foot all the way up and scoop up, and then twist in the air and scoop down, and then twist up, and then scoop up. So this is the Cirque du Soleil performance hip work. And it should feel good. It's just that simple. See how scoopy, scoopy, scoopy you can make it. I was so tight and stuck after my injury, I believe. I was sort of like, I could do this, but I could only get to sort of right there and kind of bring it up. That's fine. Just this motion, this is called abduction of the leg. But picking your leg up and down is fancy word for that. And it's just, this is your glute med. And this is really, people say clams, but I like the straight leg version. And you want to feel it just on fire. I mean, just right on fire on that glute med. I don't think you can actually get too strong there. It's a postural muscle, and it's really nice if you're healing an injury, because these lateral muscles, the obliques on the side of your body, and the glute meds are what keep us from falling over in space. And I've always thought that was a really cool thing to be able to do, not fall over. So yeah, so that's the ice cream scoops from Karen. Okay, so this is the worst exercise in the world, and you're gonna hate it, but the purpose of it is to target what are called the deep stabilizers around the spine. So you have this network of these lattices, of these little teeny sort of chevron-like straps that run from vertebrae to vertebrae, or from one vertebrae to two vertebrae. And those guys actually don't have enough length or power to move your spine. They stabilize your spine. And during the healing process, sometimes they just lock, and those suckers are stuck. And when they're stuck, you're not going anywhere, because what they do is send a neurological signal out to your big muscles to guard. And then you'll know when that happens, because you'll do the duck butt. And I unfortunately had the duck butt. It's not impressive to walk into a business meeting and trying to like not look like you're in duck butt when you're in duck butt. So whenever you can avoid a spasm and allow those guys to get a little blood in them and a little bit of work, that's a good thing. Now, I was prescribed this as like every night, sets of 3 for a minute, and I could do it for about 40 seconds, and it was just, after that, it was just so awful and hideous. I still got results with it. So I would just say, you know, you want to do this, be kind to yourself, get in there, have awareness of what you're trying to do. Try to bring a visualization right down the bottom of your spine. That's really going to get you a lot of results. And don't worry about how high or your legs, arms and legs go. You want to think about reaching away. And this concept is called axial elongation. You want a nice long spine. You want all those stabilizers happy and long, just like in that video where my spine is flowing. Same thing as stretching a tight hamstring, right? You feel kind of stuck. So you want that liberation across your spine. So we're going to go for that here. And it's very simple. You're going to get on your belly, if you can get on your belly. And you're just going to squint. You're going to try to suck your abdominals up and in, but make it really flowy. Because when they teach this, they teach it, and people are flapping all over the place. We're not trying to do Supermans, and we're not trying to work the spinal erectors. As a matter of fact, you want to stay out of the spinal erectors. You want to go just really deep inside your belly,
really deep around your spine and make this as flowy as you can. You can even pretend you're like on a surfboard or floating or something, but really send your energy and visualization deep down into here and just give those guys some blood, some loving. So it's very simple swimming. And you can try to coordinate your left arm and your left leg if you want. Hopefully you still have that. So left, right, right. And if you have lost the ability to coordinate your left and right, your opposition arms and legs, you know, don't get frustrated. Sometimes weird neurological stuff goes down while you're healing. It'll come back, promises. So yeah, so that's swimming. So here's something really important to do with partner work and checking the transverse abdominis, aspiring, and the quadruped. So we were just flipped on the back and we coughed or tickled or tried to raise one leg and seeing if this fires and lifts up and in. It should do the same thing here from a plank position. So what we're going to do is have the knees hip distance apart, and this is vertical. So we want the femur really deep in the socket. We're going back to ancient roots. So this quadruped form and quadrupedal movement goes all the way back to when we were little kids, 2 years old, 3 years old, learning how to walk. This is not going to be an exercise like, you know, when you do fire hydrants. We're not trying to pee on stuff. No, we're going to, so forget all that. This is different. This is a physical therapist trick. If your physical therapist can get you back to here after an injury, that's generally where I will pick up training people once they've been released to this, the ability to execute this movement is as follows. So again, the quadruped is very simple. I'm raising my left arm and right leg in opposition. You should actually be able to you're thinking about reaching across the room. You're trying to touch the far wall with your fingertips and with your foot, and we're not spilling the cup of tea here on the back. Very stable, no movement. An example of spilling it would be going to lift the leg and going into hip rotation, which is a very different movement than what we're trying to go into here. So I'm just going to reach away from myself, aiming my pinkies toward the back room, and have your partner or yourself reach up and in that exact same spot on the transverse abdominis that we were checking on the back side. And now see if that is firing. You should be lifting up and in, and this should be a lot of work just to hold this control-wise, lifting up and in through your abs, and then you want to swing your leg down. So remember, the knee joint swings. So it's not, it's a very natural swing out and a very natural swing back, and then checking that transverse abdominis. This is an excellent restorative form, and it's also, even though you don't see people doing it because I guess it looks goofy, I actually do it before I have sports or something. Again, I don't do it in the gym because it looks goofy, but I do it during the week and a couple times during the week because it's a great trick. It really gets everything firing, especially for any kind of load building work or strength training or running or whatever, everything. So really that's what you're going to have going on, and you might feel some weird neurological shifts as you go from left leg to right leg, a little bit of instability, and work through that. You're working all around the lumbar as a stabilizer with the muscles on the front. So you're injured here, so we're working the muscles on the front to act as stabilizers all around the hip joint. Thus, hopefully we're relieving stress that's put on the lumbar as a stabilizer and bringing in anterior muscles. Because the benefit of six-pack abs, I mean, that is if you train them so that you can use them in an integrated fashion with your core, you know, you're going to be a lot more stable in your back. So anyway, that's tips on activating the transverse abdominis from quadruped. Yippee! Okay, finally, in terms of healing your back and recovering from the soft tissue damage, I guarantee you people are going to be like, oh, just drop down and do McKinsey spine stretch and everything's going to be fine.
you know, you're still gonna have to wait for the soft tissue to heal. And yes, you want those discs to sink back into their house, but even if they do sink back to their original position, which means they're not pooching out the back anymore and they slide towards the front, they're still injured. And the other thing to keep in mind is that according to the McKinsey Spine Institute, you can verify this. I have their booklet. For the first 4 hours after we wake up, our discs are puffed up like inflated tires, and then throughout the day they go down. So one thing you might want to consider in terms of the healing process is if you can shift any heavy load-bearing work until after 4 hours from waking up. And I had to do that. I like to get out of bed and like go to a 5:30 a.m. spin class. Woo! So then I'm ready for the day. And I just had to get over that while I was healing and stuff. I'm back to that schedule now, but I had to get over it and just wait until a lunchtime class. And that actually probably was one of the biggest things that helped me to finally stop re-injuring myself and heal. So let's just cover a couple, assuming that your discs aren't too puffed up. Let's consider the McKinsey spine stretch and some of the finer points that are not taught, but could actually make pretty much the make or break in terms of these being at all successful for you. First of all, let's stretch what's called the thoracic spine. So the thoracic spine starts roughly right up here above the shoulder blades. It's every vertebrae that has a rib attached to it. You got a floating rib down here, then your lumbar, and then your boo-boo spots right there. Well, let's first stretch out the upper thoracic spine. The survival strategy for that is as follows. You probably have limited extension strength or limited mobility while you're healing through your lumbar. So let's see if we can find other spots on the spine that you can work from. So thoracic extension is the ability to lift only through the ribs, and it kind of works on an angle. So I'm not going to move from the lumbar, I'm just going to lift up and in. So you lift up and in here with the obliques as a stabilizer, and you can kind of tilt. And you're like, yeah, okay, I can't really do that. No, my mentor was a ballet dancer, so we worked on that with him, sort of going, lift from here, roll that. No, so we'll do an easy version of that on the mat. So we're going to use gravity to help us out here. Hopefully you can lie on your belly. All right, so I'm going to find my ribs here and jam these guys into this mat and have my hands kind of here where I can get some leverage. I'm staring at a little spot. I'm going to take an inhale, and then with an exhale, roll my shoulders back, and I'm going to arc through that spot, driving through the heel of my hands, and really driving my ribs into the mat. So you're going to feel this between your shoulder blades, and you'll have a lift in the spine. It's very small movement, but it's huge. It's essential. And then lower down, and it should feel good. You're driving this through here. You can even take this to a dart now. I'm driving my lower ribs into the mat. I'm not using the lumbar at all, because every time I feel anywhere else wants to kick in, I just drive the ribs into the mat. So that's a really nice way to isolate that part of the spine safely, even while your lumbar is injured. And then come on down. And this isn't a modification that was taught, but you know, if your lumbar is hurting, you can go ahead and spread your legs out a little bit further if it's more comfortable. Because again, we're just isolating the upper thoracic spine through and driving that rib down, trying to find some extra mobility there. The other reason I recommend this here is because I'm not really sure how your spine is moving right now, but this is a nice version of that same stretch. So you'd start here, just a slight push away with the neck, just avoid staying in flexion, just a little hint. You get to the first part, now my ribs are in the mat, and I'm going to suck my abs up and in, and I'm just going to keep going with that. So I'm peeling my spine up. Then you see I'm having trouble breathing because I have my deep low abdominals sucked up and in, so I'm not sagging in my lumbar spine. I'm really staying lifted, and then I'm going to come down. So is that connected version of that kind of similar to the other little video that I made, which is you want to be really connected. And a good cue for this, it's kind of artsy-fartsy, but I think it'll work, is you want to, as you go through here, you take an inhale and push that peanut. Really roll up the top part of your spine first. See if you can stand it. Keep your abs lifted up and in. Get up to here. See if you can feel a stream of light that connects from your sternum
It runs through the center of your body, and it connects to your tailbone, and it's holding you. And you're like sort of a foo dog or the woman on the bow of a ship in terms of that. I'm going to show you an alternative. You come down very safely and slow. Try to get longer each time you come down, like spreading your spine out as you come down. Axial elongation, so if you can get things to spread out in the spine. It's no good to just McKenzie's spine stretch and just bam. The point of it is not to just bam the anterior of the vertebrae together. The objective is to kind of draw space between those vertebrae, like train cars going up a hill. So they're train cars going up a hill, you know, they don't all smash together. They're all long and strung out. So keep them long and strung out as you come down. One thing that you'll see in a lot of these demonstrations, even online, is just it's shoulder sagging, people bricking up, or letting go in the abs, and I don't want to do it because I'll hurt myself again, but this deep hinge, you can see it. You'll see like a sag in the low back, like a busted up old donkey. You want your spine long as it can be. It's not about anything other than just getting this stretch between the sternum. My head's kind of hopefully forward and in line. And then come on down. And again, you'll know you're doing it right if you're sucked up in it through here. Like it is in the world, you have a little bit of trouble talking because you have to breathe into your upper chest, and it's also stretched long. Your upper chest is stretched long. So that concept of getting your whole spine stretched out and visualizing the vertebrae as if the train car is going uphill. So there's a space between them. So as you rise up in space, you're getting longer. And those visualizations actually, really tend to work and keep you from sort of smashing all the train cars into each other. So the objective of that McKenzie spine stretch, yes, is to allow the disc to slip anteriorly. But the objective of it is also not just to hang on your bones or to smash the anterior aspect of the lumbar vertebrae together. You want to keep everybody really long. So it's essential to keep the abs, the front abs engaged in that. So from your tailbone to your sternum, you'll feel like your abdominals are an elastic band supporting you through the whole thing. You'll feel it. Just think about that elastic band running down the front. If that elastic band gets tired, take a breath and roll on down because you're done for the day.